first and foremost, rest in peace to Chester Bennington. I mean, what can I say? What can I say, really? I mean, he was definitely a huge part of my life. I could tell you firsthand that he was a direct influence on my band. Ueli, if you're there, can you please let me know if the stream is working properly? Because I want to make sure, you know, this is looking right and everything. Because on my end it looks weird, so I want to make sure we do this right, because this is a very serious show, and I'm not gonna pull any fucking punches on this one. So, you know, if you guys are in the chat, let me know if this stream is okay, if you're hearing me now. Seems like it's doing okay. Sorry guys, we're gonna work through these technical difficulties real quick. Let me know if this is working. Okay, it looks like we're on. So, as I was saying, first of all, you know, happy birthday, actually. Happy birthday to Chris Cornell, who just passed away not even 2 months ago. You know, it breaks my heart, dude. It really fucking breaks my heart. Chester, man, Craig fucking sounds like Chester sometimes. He does. And Craig has said on many occasions that Linkin Park is what got him into rock music. He has told me many times. Okay, Craig has told me, dude, Linkin Park's why I got into music, dude. I used to just listen to rap and stuff like that, and he didn't really get it, you know what I mean? Okay, so again, before we really head into this, because I got a couple friends who are going to want to come in and give their opinion. Is it sound better now? I just fixed the levels. Let's make sure the stream is really fucking solid. So message me on the YouTube chat and let me know if this is coming along okay. I don't want to get into it and then there be technical difficulties, because I got a lot of shit to say. So if this is coming through, just let me know. Okay. It's good. Okay. Thank you, Marcos. I appreciate it. Thank you, Rack Toner, Judith Ochoa. Thank you guys. So Craig's bummed out, obviously. Everyone in the rock world should be. This is some crazy shit, man. How are we gonna lose two fucking legendary singers in one summer? Like, that's insane to me. That's just that's I can't handle that shit. That's so ridiculous to me. And I know that Linkin Park inspired Craig to begin singing. It gave him the courage to want to sing. It made him enjoy rock music. He was never into that. So Chester has a direct line to influencing my friend, who I later joined a band with, and then, you know, through some kind of weird divine shit, we end up in the same band. And, you know, somehow through all that, you know, I feed my kids, I've provided a bit of a life for myself, I've seen the world, I've met a lot of people, I have you guys on here who are, you know, we're becoming friends now. And it's really awesome to have experienced a lot of the things that I've experienced. And yeah, I could say that Chester had a direct hand in that. But, you know, I hope that his death isn't in vain. I hope that this shit is not just... I hope that he didn't just up and fucking just die and we learn nothing from it. Okay? I fucking... listen to this. This is what I've been planning to say. I've been trying to figure out how to say this. As far as I'm concerned, this shit should be taught in schools. Okay? You got PE. That's physical education. You should have fucking me class, dude. Mental education. That shit should fucking be taught in schools. It is not simply a weakness. Depression isn't someone just being fucking bummed out. Drug addiction isn't someone just fucking who's a piece of shit who can't get their shit together. It's a real fucking sickness. It's a real fucking disease. But it can be cured. I know I suffer through anxiety and depression. I still do. I still have anxiety every fucking day. It goes up and it goes down. Some days it keeps me awake at night. Some days I struggle to fucking, not just fucking give in. But because I had a lot of help along the way, I have learned to combat this shit. I have learned that it is curable. I have learned that my mind does not control me. That I control my fucking mind. And it took years. I had to study all this crazy shit, pick from this fucking way of thinking, pick from this line of thinking, and do all this shit to fucking figure it out. They can teach this stuff in school, man. When you fucking break your finger, when you fucking cut yourself, when you have an upset stomach, your fucking, I don't know, your face gets swollen or something, you say, fuck, man, there's something wrong with me. I need to go to the doctor, or I need to see the fucking nurse, or, I got to get this checked out. Well, when that happens to your mind, it's a little different. It's a little embarrassing. You don't understand it. You don't know what's going on with you. You can't figure out what the fuck is happening. But at some point you do realize, hey, something is wrong. Something is wrong. And there needs to be a cure for this. I need to figure this out. And there are so many things. If you talk about all the things that you could actually put resources of, money into things, helping educate people on mental health should be right there near the top. Curing it is not a linear process. No. Curing it is not a straight line. It's not just like, okay, you got this, so that means you do this, and then do this 6 to 8 weeks and you're good. No, it's not that simple. Because this is a melody that fucking goes into your brain and it attacks the host in a way that it tells it doesn't want to be cured. And that there's no way to cure it. That you're telling me that you can have a dude, 2 dudes, that are so distraught, they would rather end their fucking life than to actually see that there's hope, or you know what I mean? I don't believe they didn't want to get better. I don't believe Chester didn't want to get better. I don't believe he was just a fucking junkie or a fucking cokehead. Fuck no. These were dudes that had families. They had kids. They had reasons to live. But what is it about this depression shit that takes people over? I used to... This is crazy. There was a point for me. I'm into boxing. I've seen Boxing MD on here. You can't say depression doesn't have a cure, right? We don't have the cure yet, but I assure you that there is a cure. There's many cures. There's a lot of different angles you could attack this fucking thing with. And I had this one thing it took me a long time. I remember having my first panic attack, and I would get these shakes, man. I'd fucking start shaking. I'm like, oh my God. I could hear my breathing. I could hear my fucking heart racing. Everything around me suddenly looked like it was going to kill me. I kept checking in the mirror, kept looking in the fucking mirror, looking at every little bump, thinking, is that a fucking hive? Did I just fucking get some kind of allergic reaction? Is my throat swelling? Am I gonna die? Literally, it sounds stupid, but I literally thought I was gonna die at all times. So much so that it began to debilitate me. And I started to lose sleep. And I'd go for fucking months and months and months on end, not being able to sleep. I'd be up for 2-3 days at a time, and finally my body would fucking crash, and I'd be up like 2 hours later thinking, fucking thank God I finally slept 2 hours. And it just kept growing and building and building. And this was the easy part. And I'll tell you why. Because I knew there was something fucking wrong. That was so obvious that there was something wrong. So I knew for a fact that there was something wrong. So that was the easy part. And I remember I got to a point where, so I pointed out my friend Boxing MD there, because I got to a point where I had this punching bag in my garage. I would go and I'd fucking train every day. I'd do mitts with my friend. I'd jump rope. We'd spar. I'd hit this bag, you know. And I was well aware that this punching bag weighed 100 pounds. So the beam that it was hanging from was capable of holding a 200-pound man. And I weighed about 190 pounds. And so I used to have these fucking nightmares. I mean, vivid fucking nightmares. In those 2-3 hours that I could sleep, I'd have these fucking vivid nightmares about going in that garage, taking down this fucking punching bag, and putting a fucking rope through the hook that it was on, and wrapping that motherfucker around my neck and kicking a chair. And then I'd wake up from this, and then I'd be stuck with that vision all day. And this went on for weeks and weeks, and I kept thinking about it, I said, I can't handle this shit anymore. I'm going to fucking kill myself because I can't fucking deal with this. And then I just started to put in the work, you know. But it's so weird. It's a weird thing to have, like, this fucking disease that it's a fucking sickness. And the reason I say that is because I listened to Joe Rogan's podcast recently, who I'm a big fan of, which was part of why I wanted to start a fucking a podcast, was because, you know, when I heard this episode, it was amazing. He had an actual therapist in there. He had this whatever you call him, you know, a shrink, who had for years sworn on taking pills and prescribing them, and then you're fucking, here, take this, and you're gonna do this and whatever, right? And she said after years she started to realize that there is a true, genuine connection between the physical and the mind. Because when your body is lacking nutrients, it's unhealthy, it's deprived. Now, you could be fat and overweight and your body can still be starving. That is absolutely true. You could be devoid of so many nutrients because fucking pizza and fucking McDonald's aren't going to give you everything your body needs to survive and thrive. Absolutely not. So you actually need to nourish your body. So they say, you know, some people ask me, man, dude, Robert, why you fucking work out so much, dude? Another video about you working out? We get it, you work out. No, dude, it's because that fucking helps save my life. It's not the one cure, but it certainly fucking pushes me in the right direction. Man, how can you eat that fucking bullshit? It tastes bad. It tastes horrible. Why do you fucking eat that? It's boring. I'm just going to eat regular food. McDonald's. Fuck out of here. I actually nourish my body. And I'm fucking better than I've ever been. And it works. So now that my body is ready to fucking attack. Now my body, which is the vessel. This is the vessel by which my heart and mind are placed. and my spirit controls all of that shit, you know? So you can align all this stuff. Is it possible that depression can actually be partially caused by your body not being fucking nourished properly? Yes. They all go hand in hand. So when I say this shit can be taught in schools, it fucking should. You know? So when you give someone fucking like Chris Cornell was on anti-anxiety depression medication, and his family is saying that that is fucking part of what killed him. And I believe it. I believe it. Now, not to say that you shouldn't take any kind of fucking medication like that, because sometimes a person is so debilitated by anxiety that you need to fucking give them something to numb them just to get them fucking out of bed so you can actually begin the work. I'm not saying I have the answers. I'm not saying that what has worked for me is going to work for everyone. But I am saying is that I know that these answers exist. I know that there's a lot of information that has come from so many different sources that you can actually start to line shit up to actually begin to cure a person, to heal them, to not shun them and just look down on them and say he's a fucking piece of shit drug addict. How can you have millions of dollars in the bank, millions of fans, a family, kids, and you kill yourself? Fuck you, I feel no sympathy for you. And I have friends who are going to come on here and they might actually say that. I know they've said that on the phone earlier. Well, it's a sickness. And there's got to be a cure, right? And I know there is, because through lots of different variations, I've come out the other side to where I'm actually able to help people who've kind of dealt with similar situations. I've actually been able to get people from walking off the ledge, you know? So, no, I don't have all the answers. I'm not a shrink. I haven't studied in that way. I'm certainly not certified. I can't give you professional advice, but I could tell you what worked for me and the things and the combination of things that have worked for me. And maybe it doesn't work for everyone. I don't know. But I could tell you this much: doing drugs didn't work for Chester Bennington, you know? And obviously there was more to it. It's so weird when you're, you know, deep into depression, where suddenly you develop this nearly photographic memory and you just can't erase shit, and you keep getting flashbacks, and suddenly you can remember so clearly everything you've ever done wrong in your life. Everything you've ever fucking done wrong in your life is just this painted picture in your fucking brain, and this overwhelming guilt just constantly hovers over you, and it's so hard to let go. And just the same, anything that anyone's ever done to you hovers over you and attacks your brain, and you're fucking stuck in this black cloud and you can't fucking shake it. And suddenly the whole world looks like it's fucking out to kill you, and that there's no reason worth living. It's fucking insane. It really is. It actually literally is insane. So I don't know, man. It just bugs me, and I hope that Chester does not have to be the fucking, like, just another one, you know? I feel like you gotta educate people while they're young, so when they say, oh shit, I had a panic attack, I know what to do. I gotta go do this. Instead of burying shit, you know? We bury things a lot as people. We run away. I do that. And while I was getting through that anxiety, I used to obsess over things because I used them as a crutch. When Muhammad Ali died, I fucking wept. I literally wept. I mean, I'm sure a few of you have seen it when I posted it, which I'm embarrassed about later, but, you know, I wept because I know that while I was going through all that, that story of that man provided a distraction for me, kept me a focus. And I used to think of his story. I used to think, that's why I fucking have that right there. And how he had to endure He believed so much that he had a certain purpose in his life, that he was unwilling to do this and sacrifice so much of his life, and he gave up a lot for what he believed in. And that story like was so like gnarly to me that it actually got me through that time. It actually distracted me and actually kept me looking at a certain positive in life, and it kept me like, I don't know, I don't want to say focused, because it's the opposite. He kept me unfocused on the anxiety. So when he died, I wept, because I realized he was a really, really fucking big part of getting me through that. You know? So when I meet a fan that says, dude, Robert, your fucking music got me through some tough times, I believe him. I fucking believe him. You know? I know this fucking band got me through a lot of tough times too. So it's fucking, it's just gnarly, dude. It's gnarly. There's not a perfect thing of what mental illness is exactly, but I think we can figure it out. You know, aside from that, I mean, Chester was fucking dope ass singer. I actually saw him last year for the first time. They were opening for Metallica at a festival out in Vegas, and great fucking voice, man. Amazing voice, amazing songs. That whole band was an amazing unit. I know that you know, people get sad when this sort of thing happens. I just think it just doesn't have to happen. I don't think it has to happen. I think there's a better way. I think we can actually defeat these sort of things from happening, so that in the future people's families aren't broken apart by it. As fans, we'll be bummed out, and then we'll listen to their music, we'll find another band, we'll listen to old bands, and we move on. But that man's family is devastated forever. It's broken apart. Chris Cornell's family, broken apart. It's crazy. So there's just so many layers to it. So I say that there's layers. There's fucking layers. There's the physical. There's the emotional. There's ways to educate. And then the last one, which is the most important to me. And you know, I get scared of going there. I get scared of going there because I don't know how to do it properly. But at the end of the day, what I had most in my life was my faith in God. You better believe when I wanted to kill myself that I found Christ. I 100% swear to you, I can genuinely tell you that that still is the cornerstone of my life. And I can get made fun of, and I could see things, and people can give me different philosophies and all that, and it's fine. And I'm, you know, to each their own. But for me, that, you know, that really helped me, you know, see my way through it and gave me purpose to move forward, you know. But it's a tough road, man. And obviously for everyone, for some people it's easy, and they just have a couple bad days and they move on and they don't care. They're almost numb. I don't know how some people just get over shit so quickly. For some people, it fucking debilitates them. I don't get it. You know? But for me, that was it, dude. So I'm gonna take some callers now, because I had a friend who asked me if I wanted to change the topic, because I was originally gonna do some different stories today and shit. But I'm going to bring on my friend Josh. He was a Linkin Park fan, as he's a big rock fan. And maybe we could turn it into some positive here. But man, it's crazy, dude. Bunny Angle, God and ETF saved my life. That's crazy. That is pretty crazy. But I get what you're saying, though. I get what you're saying. MD, if you DM me on Twitter your number, and I'll call you. That's how it works. He's a friend of mine. So we can't get Josh, but we're gonna get Jesse on. Game over, Jesse. If you're ready, dude, we'll get you on. Maybe we could share some thoughts on Linkin Park.
Hello.
Hey Jesse, what's up, man?
Hey, how's it going? Pretty good. Pretty good. I was
All right.
watching the stream here. I guess I'm a few seconds behind. Wasn't expecting the
We
call
had-
just yet.
We had Yoeli up there because whenever I switch pictures on the Skype, the old one still hangs out there for a second, and I was like,
yeah.
"Wow, Jesse, you got really pretty." Listen, man, I don't really know how to articulate everything I'm saying. You know, I wanted people to understand that I'm not just a idiot who hates on movies.
Yeah.
But you know, I genuinely, you know, I dealt with anxiety and depression really bad. Like really bad. It was crazy. Obviously not as bad as other people, you know. Obviously Chester had worse than me, and he's older, so he probably dealt with his whole life. He had certain traumatic events that happened early on. He could not move past them. There's ways to do that. For me, it was my faith in God that did that. But there was a lot of earthly things as well that I had to do, and that was my guiding force that said, you know, put things in perspective, and just kind of goes, dude, just do what's right and you'll figure it out, and keep moving and finding all these ways. But I don't know, man. So what do you think? I mean, just in general, like, I mean, as a Linkin Park fan, as a Chester fan, and you know, all that deeper stuff as well, and what lessons we can learn from this sort of thing. Obviously Chris Cornell as well. So, you know, what do you think?
Yeah, I've been a huge Linkin Park fan since I was real little. Since their well, I wouldn't say real little, but their first album. That was whenever I came across them. My older brother actually introduced me to them, and I remember I would be playing like Nintendo 64 games at the time, and instead of having the music from the game playing or whatever, I would just be listening to Linkin Park on repeat. It was one of the first bands that kind of got me into heavier music, and through that I found The Used, and eventually even your band, Escape the Fate. So whenever I first heard the news, it was actually my girlfriend had called me and woke me up with the news, and I was like, wait, is this like one of those stories that pops up on like some website for clickbait money or whatever? And it turns out it was true. So at first I was just kind of shocked, but depression's just something that everybody deals with, whether it's in a small way, a large way. People have different methods of dealing with it. Some people can go work out, exercise, play music, write songs, spend more time with their family, whatever it is. But it's just like kind of at a loss of words for it, because I feel everybody should get help. But as I said, I posted something earlier in the chat talking about how depression was kind of the emotional form of cancer, to where physically everyone has like different variations of cancer or whatever because it's their own cells attacking them. And with depression, it's basically your own mind and your own body that's working against you. So you have to find whatever it is that allows you to cope with that, whether it is working out or doing whatever. So
yeah, and that's why I say, man, I believe that there is something that can be cured there. You know, will all the casualties be over? No, because like you know, for the rest of the time, there's like you can't save everyone, but certainly we could minimize those kind of things, and you know, remove that sort of trauma from families and things like that. Because, you know, they say, oh, suicide is selfish. It's like, well, yeah, it is, you know, but it's not that simple. It's not like anyone wants to do it. But when you're so broken down that seems like it's your only reasonable option, there's obviously some fucking not right. And I believe it to be, you know, as much as it is, you know, obviously it's a cognitive thing. It is a physiological thing as well. Now, when I talk to my shrink, because yes, I did have a shrink, I did have to talk to a therapist. I still do every once in a while just to kind of get a refresher course. But when I would speak to him, he'd be like, well, he literally would ask me, have you done the physiological things? You know, and he would say, you know, make sure you're eating right. Are you eating right? You eating good? Have you slept? Have you separated time to do this, or this? Are you fucking, you know, even simple shit like, hey man, fucking just go outside, go for a walk, because those types of things bring energy, physical, literal, actual energy. You know, not in the energy in the spiritual sense, but actual physical energy. You know, from the fucking sun, from the air, from fucking food, and your body is that vessel. You know, so it like there's a lot of things that go into it, and I think that is a part that gets overlooked. I think that a lot of people just feel like, oh well, it's a why would you prescribe a pill then if it's not a physical thing, you know? And it's like most sicknesses can be prevented, like you said, cancers. Now you can't explain why kids get cancer and shit like that, but certainly there are ones that you feel like you could probably prevent. You could probably, if you don't smoke, chances of getting lung cancer probably go down. I don't know, I'm not an expert, but I'm just thinking, I'm asking for opinions. So I mean, what do you think about stuff like that and how those tie in?
Yeah, I think like you were saying earlier, with your body not being right, not getting the nutrients that you need. I know a lot of times if you aren't eating the right types of things, it can have an effect on your mind. And I know a lot of people just look at it as sort of a chemical unbalance or something. So it's like, okay, here's these pills that'll allow your brain to produce more of whatever it is that they think you're missing. And sometimes it does help. I know people who take antidepressant medicines, and it seems to work for the most part for them. Mm-hmm. And then, like, just about a week ago, I was actually really depressed, and I had reached out to a few people, well, actually more than a few people, but it's a different story. And the best advice that I got from a lot of people was just like they would say whenever they would get depressed or getting down, they would actually go and work out. And by mid-workout, their mind would be onto something else. They would be focused on whatever it was they were doing at that specific moment in time, and they wouldn't really be thinking of it. And then after the workout, they would just feel better about themselves. And also, I think really the best thing that you could do that a lot of people don't do is just talking to people, reach out and talk. Mm-hmm. And like you were saying, maybe someone feels embarrassed about talking about it, or someone will look at them differently if people know that they're feeling like this. So
see, and you know, sorry to interrupt, but there is like again, I'll keep saying this throughout the whole show, but there are layers, right? So now the physiological part is one. Now when we get into the cognitive part, you know, the stereotype is that when you sit on a couch with a shrink and you tell them about the shit that happened to you as a child and you have this epiphany and you're like, oh, okay, that's real. And I'll tell you why is because, and I did this not even, you know, with my own anxiety, but when I was getting married. Now I got married through the church, and, you know, my wife and I, you know, they made us do these like classes, and they made us like look back and like figure out, basically they're trying to see if we really were compatible and knew what the fuck we were really getting ourselves into, right? And so yeah, they had us like even draw this like sketch. There was this little exercise, and you know, think about your childhood home, draw the floor plan of it. So where was the TV, where was the couch, you know, where was your room, this type of thing. And now that paints this vivid picture in your mind. And so when you do that, it makes you start to think about life in a different way, and you start to question, well, why did my parents do it this way? Like the weirdest little thing, right, is that my parents, maybe it's just a freaking Mexican thing, I don't know, but for us, dogs belonged outside. They were an alarm system. They bark, that means someone's close by that don't belong there. I never knew dogs could be part of the family and hang out. With my wife's family, they're part of the family. They're on the couch. They sleep in the bed with you. And I'm like, this is weird. What are you doing? You know, because I remembered when I drew a picture of my dog chained up in the back. And I'm like, I would never fucking chain up a dog now, you know. But it seemed normal. So there's things that you are groomed to believe. So when you sit and talk to a shrink and they pull out those things of your childhood, you uncover reasons why. Now, maybe something bad happened for you. Like, for example, Chester, he was abused as a child. I don't know what kind of abuse, but I know that he had mentioned he was abused as a child. So when that happens, it creates this sort of this void, this like, now everything, your life was normal, this event happened, now suddenly your life is different. And because then you bottle it up, you bury that memory, and then you do things to get away from that memory. And then you have to realize, well, hey, I don't have to think that way. This event happened, and that's why I behave this way. But actually, I don't have to behave that way. So I can change my behavior. I can live life differently. I don't have to do drugs. I can go outside. I can take my fucking dogs for a walk. I can go play with my kids. I can take them to the amusement park. You know, all these sort of things change your perspective when you understand. It's not one cure, but it's part of it. Is understanding how you began to think that way. And then you can begin to change how you think. It's crazy, man. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. Like you mentioned, like going outside, taking your kids to an amusement park or something. One of the things that's really helped me is just thinking about, like I don't think I've ever had suicidal tendencies, but whenever I do get really depressed, I just think about my daughter, who's about to be 2 here in a couple of months. And that's like the one thing that I can always think about, spending time with her, that gets me through almost everything. So yeah, for me it is family, and also my religion, Christianity or whatever religion someone has. I think that praying does help, and as well as talking to other people to try, maybe if you can't figure out what exactly is tearing you apart, maybe someone else can.
Well, and you know, and this whole thing was really, you know, when I wanted to do a podcast, I wanted to do fun stuff and talk about movies. I want to do stuff like this as well, but I just don't know. I'm not like a freaking preacher, and I don't know how to articulate it well all the time. I have an extensive vocabulary. I'm eloquent, but I don't know how to do it when I'm trying to get my point across. It's weird unless it's like in sort of a private setting where I have time to evolve. But anyways, the thing is, like, why I wanted to do some of this stuff was, you know, we talk about music, we talk about lyrics, and we can talk about how certain things, how like the whole Forrest Gump Shawshank thing, we talk about hope and destiny and things like that. And why those things resonate with people, why art resonates with people, is because it allows you to connect to someone else. When you hear a song about someone who's in pain, it makes you look at yourself and go, man, I'm not really a fucking weirdo after all. This is actually kind of normal because other people feel this way. You know, so when I do a podcast and I say, man, I believe that there can be a cure, and I'm not okay with mental fucking health problems, that, you know, we can fix this. Maybe someone out there says, dude, I agree with that, man, and let's figure it out. You know, and that's so you connect with someone else who has dealt with that and seen, hey, Robert got stronger. He's not perfect. He still makes mistakes. He still battles it, but, you know, he's on his way. So that's, you know, when you connect to people in that way, it helps because you can grow from each other. You could teach each other. And so talking to someone really, like, goes a long way. Ultimately, why I created a podcast, to talk to people, to connect, right? You know?
Yeah.
It's crazy, man. So listen, dude, I'm going to let you go. I mean, if any last words on Linkin Park as just the band and Chester, you know?
Yeah, I know for a while, like, not only was Chester in Linkin Park, but he replaced the lead singer in Stone Temple Pilots. And to me, I was thinking, like at that point, Chester was basically on top of the world. Not only did he have his own band that the entire world loved, but he was also now like the lead singer in one of his favorite bands. So like even though someone seems like may have millions of dollars, millions of fans, and have the whole world at their fingertips, literally be able to go and do whatever they wanted to do it when they wanted to do it, depression and emotions are a bit deeper than that. Like I'm sure maybe if there was a group of people there with him for him to talk about it, whatever was going on, whatever he had on his mind, if someone was just there, I'm maybe people could still be looking forward to upcoming concerts and stuff. So anytime that someone's feeling like that, I encourage them to seek out help with friends or even a stranger, someone to talk about through it with. And also,
what's amazing is I feel no shame in annoying people when I'm really want to get something done. And I'm glad I behaved that way when I dealt with it. I probably annoyed all my friends. It's like, dude, shut up already. Just get over it. But every conversation I had helped steer me in a way that I was learning,
Yeah. Yeah. So anyways, I wanted to thank you for letting me come on, and hopefully everybody else watching is able to find something out of this. If they're dealing with something that they're afraid to talk about, then maybe this can encourage them as well.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. All right, man. We're gonna go to the next one.
All right. See you, dude.
Thanks again for calling in, man. As always. So we're gonna go to Eddie. This should be interesting. It's sometimes Eddie's a close friend of mine, but we have a lot of crazy talks. But sometimes we Yo, Eddie, you there?
Yo, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you just fine, dude.
Hold on a sec. There we go. Okay.
So yeah, man. I mean, it was crazy, dude. It's crazy. We lose Chris Cornell in May, and now we lose, Chester Bennington, Lincoln Park. Young, man. 41.
41. Yeah, dude. I mean, R.I.P. Chris and Chester, and then long live Lincoln Park, right?
Exactly.
I don't know, dude. I was listening to you guys talk, and I was thinking about, how you guys are saying that you got to find somebody to talk to when you're feeling shitty and whatever, when you're feeling depressed and shit. But I want to look at it at the other side of the coin. You know me, I'm a cynical asshole, right? I'm always a dickhead when it comes to those kind of things. With this happening to Chester, I was thinking about myself and like how I need to learn how to not be a dick. When someone comes up to me and says, "Oh, I'm dealing with this shit," my first thought is you and everybody else, Yeah. So why should I care? And that's a shitty position to take. Sorry, I'm just fucking bummed out. So hard to articulate. You know what I'm trying to say?
I get what you're saying, because it's like sometimes it feels like, man, I got my own shit going on, but
but then you like I said, I get cynical and jaded. So when someone goes, "Oh, dude, I'm dealing with some depression or something," it's like, "Oh, well, you want to join the party?" Because that seems to be like the cool thing to be. Everybody wants to be a victim and dealing with shit, but you got to take it seriously. You just do. You never know. Dude, I had no idea Chester was bummed. I have no idea he was dealing with shit. I didn't even know he was on drugs. So this shit happening fucking shocked me, because every interview I saw, and I told you, I was watching interviews of him because they just came out with that new album 2 days ago. And Linkin Park was a band that I was into in middle school, right? And like, again, with that jaded and shit, after Hybrid Theory, I didn't give a fuck. I stopped listening to them completely and stopped paying attention to their music. And then for some reason I decided to watch some interviews from them, and he seemed cool, chill, Yeah, he talked about some heavy shit in some of the interviews, but you never would have thought this would have happened.
Yeah. It's weird, that's the crazy thing, but like that's why this is such a challenging thing to deal with. It's just because a lot of times it's mysterious. It takes on some weird forms, like so I don't think it's you necessarily being a dick. It's just that, yes, like it's normal. Like TJ told me, he goes he has a different approach than I do in terms of his spirituality and where that comes from and stuff. But he taught me something really well, and he says, if you're depressed, say even like 40% of the time, you're still kind of in that normal range. Once it flips flops and it's 60% and you're 40% happy, then you got to really think about what something's wrong. So when someone's like, you know, saying, hey, there's something wrong with me, I'm like, there is a difference, dude. When you're fucking, your parent dies, I don't know, some, you know, anything, or some traumatic in any way happens, it's not like like everyone's gonna feel hurt. It's not like you're not gonna feel some kind of sadness or hurt. That's normal. But then if it breaks you down in such a point where you begin this downward spiral and you're not behaving in what would be perceived as normal for you, and you're kind of really starting to question yourself, and you ask for help at that point, kind of comes off the same way to a lot of people on the outside. So I don't think it's fair for you to say you're a dick, because I think that you also are coming from a place where you don't know how deep this goes. You don't know if it's really fucking bad or if it's just kind of general depression of being bummed out on something.
Well, like, you know, we're Hispanic, right? And we're taught, you know, machismo in this, and boys don't fucking cry and that shit. So you push that shit down, and you don't ever, whenever you're feeling emotions, you just push that shit down because you don't want your dad to see you crying. You don't want any of that shit, right?
Yeah.
And fuck, I totally lost my point. But real quick, you said Craig, what's his name? TJ?
Yeah.
Walks around and you know, he talks about how you're 40% depressed and that's normal.
Yeah.
And then you're 60% happy. Dude, I walk around life just saying that life sucks with moments of happiness. That's the way I walk around, dude. It's true. Like, most of the time shit sucks, and then every once in a while you get a sprinkle of happiness, and then you just accept it. And that's how I've been walking around life lately.
We had a revelation right here live on air. But I mean, it just depends, dude, because like, you're not going to be extremely happy all the time either, you know. There's like that's why those moments are memorable, when you have those extreme levels of joy or extreme levels of hurt, because they're meant, and like everything else revolves around waiting on those types of moments, you know, and you just try to do the best you can in between. And so I find that, you know, like you were saying, like with the machismo thing and that sort of thing, yeah, you know, I've seen my dad cry far more now that I'm an adult, because he knows I get it, you know.
Yeah, I have yet to see my dad cry.
Wow.
You know how I told you my dad moved out of the country or whatever?
Yeah.
We were all saying our goodbyes, and he was about to shed a tear. I saw it in his face, and he dismissed himself. He's like, okay, I'll see you guys later. And just went in line to board the plane.
Holy shit.
So the shit is real, you know what I mean? And I honestly hope that people don't raise their kids like that, man. Like, Jordan should raise his kids. No, he shouldn't. But people should let their kids cry when they're feeling something and express themselves when they fucking feel something. This kind of pent up... I never did as a kid. All right, so I cried a lot and got picked on as a kid from elementary school up until like middle school, right?
Yeah.
Always getting messed with, always crying. People call me crybabies, all kinds of shit. So then once I got to high school, I just kind of like just kept that shit in whenever I felt bummed or sad. Didn't fucking deal with it, whatever. But now I'm gonna be 30 next month, dude. I've had like 5 nervous breakdowns where I just wept, and that shit is not healthy.
Yeah,
that
well,
shit,
see,
I don't know.
but that's kind of goes what I was saying earlier, you know, and it's tough because I know this one really fucking like affects me. Like I just because I've seen it. I've seen dudes be addicted to drugs. I've seen. I've had friends.
So is that confirmed, dude? Was that confirmed? Was he on drugs?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, when I got, you know, the text, I thought to myself, oh, shit, you know, he OD'd, because I knew that he had battled drug issues. You know, I didn't know. I never knew the level, you know, and where it was at that particular moment, but I always knew that he did have struggles. So for me, it wasn't a total shock in that way. It was shocking because he was young, but it was like, it kind of still made some sense. But then that he hung himself really threw me for a fucking loop. I'm like, what the fuck? you know.
Yeah, that's the trippy
Because
part, dude.
even if you're not like a raging drug addict, it could just be a bad combination sometimes with those things, so you just never know. But with when you actually take your own life, that's crazy. So, you know, like, that's why what I was saying early on, you know, hopefully trying to articulate properly, is that I believe that sometimes these sort of things can be taught. They should be implemented and really looked at and examined, and find out where they all come from and what causes them, and to teach people that they could change their line of thinking, that their you know, habits and their thoughts don't have to control them, that they can control their own mind, you know, and they could learn that way and say, no, I don't have to think this way. And then that you could say, you know, well, if I feed my body in a certain way, that's also going to help. There's so many things that can go into place, but you kind of have to start at the ground level and really work towards it. And, you know, not just as simple as waiting till someone does have that nervous breakdown, but if you equip people, equip them as they're growing to deal with heavy emotions. So, like, it reminds me, for example, of anger management from what's called Adam Sandler, right? And Jack Nicholson.
Right.
They plan out this whole thing, and they're like, "Sir, calm down," and he's being super nice and respectful and calm, and they make him take anger management, even though he never has angry outbursts. And their whole thing was, hey, you're actually not showing enough emotion. My brother-in-law deals with the same thing, because he was in the military. He had to learn to put his emotions aside, because if he had emotions, he couldn't be a fucking, you know, military machine that he was, you know, designed to be. Yeah. So he had to cast his emotions aside. He's not allowed to have any. So now that he's been out for years and years and years, he still has trouble having emotions. So there's like that fine line of where it comes, and where you have to let things go, where you have to, you know, not be too high and too low, allow yourself to go a little higher at times. And like there's a bunch of stuff and ways to learn about it. And you know, and when I think about him, it's just like it's so crazy, because he's like, compared to other soldiers who have gone out who are traumatized, he's the complete opposite. He's too happy. It's like, you know,
it's chill about it.
Yeah, it's kind of weird.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. And he's super laid back for someone who's, you know, gone over there. But
yeah, it's crazy. All right, man.
That's super unhealthy too. But yeah, all right,
we're gonna get to the next one, dude. And we'll fucking we'll chat later. We're gonna do some overtime too. So if you want to stick around for just the patrons and stuff. All right, dude.
Yeah, no worries.
Yeah, man, it is crazy, dude. Like, mental health is a weird thing, and I don't know, man. I feel like if I look at it this way, right? This is how I know that physical part is just as involved as the cognitive mental part. Why do pregnant women act crazy? Ask yourself that. I think they'll be the first to tell you they act crazy. Why do women who are pregnant, they act very irrational, their emotions skyrocket, they're happy 1 minute, and then all of a sudden they're fucking screaming, and they're and then they're really sad, and then they're happy again, and then it's like I dealt with one who was having twins, and she was pretty good, actually. She never got too crazy, but I definitely noticed that her emotions were a little bit more extreme. Why? Because her body's changing. There's hormones happening. Her body's actually doing things that are weird, and, you know, it's intense. So that physical aspect actually made her emotionally feel different in her mental side. So, you know, they go hand in hand. That's one aspect, though. You know, there's layers. So let's get our next one on. You already know who it is. This is my girl Yoali, dude. She's rad. She's always helps me with the show. She makes sure the technical aspects are going good, because sometimes I forget to plug some in, or the mic's too low or too loud, but she helps me out with all that stuff. So we're gonna get her take on this and see what she has to say. Yoali, we got you.
Yep, I'm right here.
All right, cool. Let's get you so everyone can see you. Right there. All right, so I wouldn't even suggest anything or ask any questions. Your thoughts?
Well, I was really bummed out when I heard the news. I was actually at a salon getting my hair done, and I was shocked, and people were asking me what happened because of my reaction, and I told them, and everyone literally just stopped what they were doing, and they were just reading the article, and everyone in that salon knew who he was, and it's just really shocking. I grew up listening to him, and I'm not gonna lie, like the last album, like I did like it, but I wasn't completely sold on it, like the last few songs. But I've always liked all of their other albums, and he was always a big part of my life, one of my favorite bands. So it was very sad.
Yeah, and you know what's crazy is like I was speaking earlier with someone about it, and with these types of characters, I think we take them for granted. They reach a certain level of notoriety, and they there's numbers, and they reach a lot of people, so we just assume that almost like they're just pop and they're just kind of part of regular life. You don't adore them the way you do maybe you're more like smaller bands that you're like obsessed with, but when Chris Cornell died, it didn't hit me that same way. I didn't go, oh man, like this fucking hurts, blah blah. It was just like, really, fuck, that sucks. And I started listening to his music again, obviously, and the more I got into him, I'm like, what a fucking voice. Take a step back. This guy's a fucking artist, dude. He's his own guy doing the same shit I'm doing, and what a fucking voice, man. And then I saw this one video, and he's on stage with his daughter singing, and then finally I kind of broke down. I'm like, oh my god, this is crazy. I can't believe this. And now with Chester, I'm just like, all right, dude, enough's enough with this shit, It fucking bums me out. But Chester, I grew up with. High school, every morning, crawling videos on it. And fucking, what was their first breakout one? I'm drawing a blank on the name. Everything you say to me. What's that?
Papercut.
Dude, fuck, man. Screaming on the radio? Holy shit. like you don't think about that. They're screaming on the radio in an era where there was rap rock, and it started to become cliche. They were cool. They really were rapping, and they really were rock.
Yeah, you're absolutely right about taking them for granted. Ever since I can remember, Linkin Park has been around, and they have been one of the biggest bands in rock. And every time an album comes out, they reach new heights of success. So you're thinking, oh, they're not going anywhere. Linkin Park is always around in some sort of capacity. And for myself, I'm kicking myself because I go to a lot of concerts, but I never got to see Chester Bennington. I never got to see Linkin Park because I always figure, oh, you know what, I'll catch him next tour because they're always around.
Yeah.
And I lost my shot. And believe it or not, last night I was actually looking up live videos of Linkin Park because I was thinking, what, I'm actually like this next tour, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna go see them because he's amazing live, and I want to experience this. And it's too little, too late. It's horrible.
Exactly. Then that's a shame. Like I said, take it for granted. Now, of course, after they pass away, now you listen to their music and you really appreciate the subtleties of it and all the things that made them special, because you just don't think about it. They're just up there. And Chris Cornell, man, when I listened to his voice, I was like, gosh, I can't believe this. I never went and saw him. I never saw him and heard him right there in person. That's crazy. And then for Chester, it was like, I saw him last year. I'm like, wow, this motherfucker can sing. I just remember thinking that. I actually think Mike Shinoda is really like the energy of that band. Like, he's really rad, but fucking Chester's voice, holy shit, But what about like the other side of it, the kind of things I was trying to say earlier is like, as far as like mental health stuff and all that. I mean, what do you think?
Well, I think that there definitely needs to be a better. People need to recognize that having depression is it's not a bad thing. Like, it has such a negative social stigma, like there's something wrong with you if you're depressed or if you need help. But people need to realize that it's normal for you to need help, and that nothing is too little to be depressed about. I remember I've gone through times where I'm depressed about something, but I'm too afraid to speak out because I'm thinking that what it is that I'm going through is not worth feeling the way I do. So I will go without telling anyone about it, and that's what just creates this kind of horrible stuff to happen. It doesn't matter how big or small it is. If it's bothering you, then it's worth talking about.
And what's amazing is like I think what Eddie was trying to say earlier. I might be wrong, but what I well, maybe it opened it to me is that when he described his dad as being fairly emotionless, no, his dad was never into, as far as I know, drinking or anything like that. I know my dad sure as hell was. And I know that there's a difference between kind of getting through the day and having a beer and then being, using a coping mechanism. And I know that my dad has robbed himself of years and years of sheer joy because he has masked his depression, because he grew up in a place where you can't have emotion. You have to be like, just be machismo. You can't like fuck everybody. You're really like, you're not really allowed to be happy. This is the craziest thing. That's why I was just, describing earlier with my wife. I was amazed at how her family is so fucking affectionate. They always hug each other. They always tell each other they love each other. And they genuinely smile. Of course they fight. Of course, things go wrong. But the genuine level of joy is a lot higher than my family, where my dad's side is no emotion. I don't know if it represents weakness, or maybe just because they didn't grow up with a lot. They had less money. They were on a reservation, so maybe they just like, fuck that. We don't need that anyways. Who cares? Who cares about being happy? We don't need that. You know what I mean? I don't know what it was. I can't really explain it, but I know that my dad always had this way of just being bummed out, and he was drinking to just kind of cope with it. It wasn't always just being the fun guy at the party. No, he coped with shit through drinking, which of course fucks his body up more. And then when you fuck your body up, then you fuck your mind up even more, And so it's kind of like, it's just crazy, man. Vicious cycle. So yeah. Drugs are the same way. I can't get off drugs, so I'm gonna do drugs. That doesn't get you off drugs. All right. Well, I'm gonna go to Josh, and okay. We'll see you next time. Thanks as always. Let me know if any difficulties arise.
Okay, I will.
Thanks as always. We're gonna get Josh right back on, get his take on both sides of the coin. Drug use, addiction, mental health, and a really fucking badass singer that we just lost. Josh, you there?
Yeah.
Can we get you on video, or no one gets to see your glorious beard?
Do people really want to see me on video? Let's be real.
Yeah, dude. Girls like your beard. They think you look manly.
How many times have you told me to get off stage, bro? Okay.
Well, Josh, on video you have a nice beard and you look good. On stage, you take up half the fucking stage. So it's like,
That's not my fault. That's on the business side of things.
It's not that you don't look good on stage. It's that you're covering me up. All right, if you don't want to be on video, you ain't gotta be. But I'm just saying it adds to the value. Anyways, man, so let's get right to it, dude. I mean, everything, your thoughts, all of it.
Where to begin? I don't know if it's coincidence or it's ironic. Last night I was going through Facebook's and old videos of stuff, nothing Linkin Park related at all. Actually, there's a couple things, but it didn't deal with the story. And I was just remembering like times of the past, like some people tend to do when their minds won't shut off, which you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And going back, I happen to remember because I've been on a big '90s kick lately, super big, like wanting to remember like middle school and stuff like that. And in the process of that, I remembered this kid I went to school with. I believe he was a grade under me. So it was probably when I was in 5th or 6th grade. He would have been in 4th or 5th grade. But he committed suicide. He hung himself in his closet. And that was the first time that we experienced, someone's taking of their own life. And it's ironic now then getting the text messages and seeing the bulletins this morning that Chester had done the same thing. Because that had got me thinking, like, people tend to do and their mind doesn't shut off is, what happens to us when we end, or how bad does it have to get for someone to take it that far? And you really can't gauge that because everyone is different and everyone has a different pain threshold and tolerance, and can take what they can handle versus what they can't. So you can't really lump sum everything into saying, well, he was popular, he had money, he had fame and stuff like that. What people don't tend to realize is that don't mean shit when it comes to what goes on in here. And a lot of things, take back to our childhood and things we go through in childhood, really shape and affect how we end up growing as adults, and whether or not we handle things the right way or the wrong way. So
yeah, and I mean, I don't, like I said, like I don't think there's any one clear cut way. There never will be. You have, let's say you even have, I don't know, strep throat. No matter what, when you go, everyone has to have their own level of prescription, So for some people, you need a stronger dose. If you're older, you're healthier, you're this or that. Some people need to rest a little more. Some people can actually eat and exercise it away. And, there's just, everyone's got a very unique individual way to general issues, illnesses that arise. And with mental health, there's not any one particular thing. And obviously, like you said, fame and money don't mean shit, bro. Depression don't give a fuck who you are. If anything, it can tend to make it worse at times, because it just adds to it. Because then you question, why am I still fucked up when I have all this? So then it just actually makes it worse, But that's where you said, shaping from childhood. That's why, again, I go into some of this stuff should be taught in schools. At least provide some resources and some tools. Maybe not schools. I don't know. It could be schools. It could be just parents, learning, and teaching their kids that, hey, when you start to feel this certain way, this can be an issue. Make sure you let us know. And seeing a shrink shouldn't be taboo. It's just it's another form of doctor.
I don't think you could present it in that way necessarily. I think what needs to be done, just like an overhaul in our school systems on, let's say, sex education, I think that mental health needs to be taught right along there with it, because it really goes hand in hand. Because as you had mentioned, and has been well documented, Chester was abused, and I did kind of read into that a little more And it was definitely physical abuse, bordering on, as he even put it, damn near rape. And so I think that the school system really needs to, I'm not going to say snowflake people, because that's seems to be a term now, because it seems like no one can seem to handle shit, period. Like,
Yeah.
I think there's a weird deal on there. But I do think that, you know, things need to be told that, hey, it's okay to be sad or something, and it's okay to talk about it, versus you can't say a word, don't say anything, just chin up, move on with it. I mean,
And
that's
the thing. Like, I think some people that have never dealt with it. I know you understand what anxiety is. You know, we've had talks, and our brains run amok. It's crazy. The brain goes, it does its own thing, and you have to actually fucking grab that thing and bring it back. It's fucking weird. It's not that simple, right? And it's like, dude, get over it. No, it's not that simple. But, like, you know, when you figure out ways to learn and implement, I don't know what it is. I don't know the answer. I'm saying I think we should fucking invest in looking for one. Because it's not even just the extremes of cases, right? It's not just Chester Bennington fucking hanging himself. You know, it's not just friends of mine that have killed themselves, friends of mine who have been addicted to drugs. It's not just those extremes. It's my dad who slowly numbed himself for fucking years, who never was on that level where it's dangerous and it's obvious that he needs help. Because if he had just done a couple of things, maybe his life could have just been better in general. Even for the fucking average person, you know what I mean? Yeah, there are people who cope better and are good, and they're good, and they don't need that sort of help, and they learn how to deal with emotions, and they say, fuck you, I'm fine. Cool, you know, but not everybody is that person, and they need to be taught a little differently, you know? And so I feel like there's different ways to go about that, and I don't know, maybe someday we can look back and it's just people in general just be more stoked on life, you know, and they don't have to deal with that. Maybe there won't be drug addiction in the future. Maybe there won't be fucking clinical depression and people killing themselves in the future. Maybe it'll be like, it could actually be preventative. Instead of dealing with the symptom, you'll actually be preventing it in the future. That's what I could hope for, you know.
I mean, that's all we can really hope for in the future. I mean, also what a lot of people don't, you know, there's a lot of stigma. You know, I don't think that, I have to kind of disagree with the previous caller when she said that just because you're depressed, it doesn't mean there's something wrong. It does mean there's something wrong, and in a lot of cases, there's a physiological, like you were saying, you know, your health and stuff like that. But it also, you know, I know you don't play too big into the genetics card, but a lot of times when you're born, certain things happen chemically in your body that, you know, genetics do play a factor.
No, I do believe there's a genetic disposition to things. I've gone back and forth with that idea because sometimes I feel like it's a crutch for people, particularly at times when it deals with certain, you know, type of health things of obesity and things like that. Like, it's like, dude, everyone has different body types, but I'm sure we can all work on them. But I don't have a set in stone opinion on that. I go back and forth, but like when I look at why, you know, a kid can get cancer, the fuck's that? Kid never smoked, never ate bad shit, but you're gonna have cancer when you're 2-3 years old. There's obviously some kind of genetic disposition to that, whether it's inherited from your family and the way they were raised, when it's you know, it's something that's in your parents that they're predisposed to, or if it's just the fucking luck of the draw, and this is the card you're going to be fucking dealt with. Maybe I'm more high strung, you know, because, you know, my mom is a worrywart, and, you know, maybe my dad did this, and, you know, I don't know. Who knows? Who knows? But there can be genetics to that. I agree. I don't know for sure, though.
Well, hey, yeah, it's, you know, one of those definite things that really need to be looked into more research done into.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Well, I'm gonna get to the next one, man. Thanks again, Josh. Dude, appreciate it, dude. Be safe out there, dude. Hands on the wheel, though. Later. Yeah, man, it's crazy. It's an interesting discussion. It's one that I actually want to have, you know, on the fairly regular, just because it's something that I deal with. It's something that actually is pretty dear to my heart, you know. So yeah, you know, it's pretty gnarly. I'm gonna have Jordan. You guys know Jordan. He's gonna come on here and he's gonna give us his take. I'm not sure if he might be able to come in studio today. He wanted to, but I'm not sure. He might have to tend to his family. But hopefully we can get him on the line. If not, then we might have to end it here. And oh, there he is, Jordan. Jordan.
Yo.
Yo. What a big poppy. Are you gonna be able
What's up, yo?
Are you gonna be able to make it into studio today?
I'm driving right now. I'm on Traffic in North.
Oh wow! You're just gonna fucking. Holy shit! All right, so you're coming in studio right now.
Oh, we can't get these cords away. Yes.
Anyway, so you're coming in studio right now?
You live in Alaska, right?
I live in Alaska.
Yeah.
But just real quick, you know, I'm gonna end this here for my patrons. I'm gonna go ahead and keep this going over on Patreon, and that way we could use the chat on there a little more and stuff. I know you guys are invested in it, and I appreciate the support, but I wanted to be able to share this one with everyone just because obviously it affects us all, whether we're a big Linkin Park fan or not. We're all, you know, part of that same rock family, or just the fucking general human being aspect of the whole thing. We can all kind of connect to this sort of thing. So with that, you know, just a quick run through, Jordan, before you get here and we go over to Patreon only.
Mm-hmm.
So your thoughts just to the
live. Oh, about everything, and forgive me, I have not been watching the show.
No, that's fine.
But,
you've been driving.
Yeah, so my overall take today, I mean, honestly, I'm more mad than I'm sad. Just honestly, with me, I'm, you know, the guys leave behind, I think 6 children or something, pretty high number of children. He's 41, you know. I know there's problems, and I know there's problems for everything, but it's kind of like the violence is not the answer. Like the answer can never be to any question. For family, but you know, the answer for
we're losing you.
You fighting with your wife is not to kill her, right?
I'm kidding.
Okay. So
I get what you're saying.
The answer to fighting with your wife is to not kill her, right? So the answer to your problem is not kill yourself. It's not the answer. And I know you have problems.
Jordan, your connection is.
It all comes from drugs in this thing.
Look, Jordan, we talked a little earlier. Your connection.
You live in a shitty place.
Look, you're
I'm gonna park for a minute.
Your connection's really bad, so I'm gonna kind of give a little bit of a breakdown of what you're saying. So here we go. So basically, Jordan and I spoke earlier. Obviously, I can't speak for him, but I'll do my best, right? Because obviously his connection sucks. He's gonna come in. He's gonna be in studio here with me. So if you guys are You know, if you're not subscribed to Patreon, head over there now. I'm gonna end this right now. You know, but Jordan has a complete different take. And now I don't want you guys to get the sense that I necessarily feel sorry for someone all the time with this sort of thing, because there is a lot of mental health, different types of issues. You know, it's not just black and white depression, sadness. I need help. There's all kinds of mental health disorders. Some are fucked up. This is an interesting day today. Today, O.J. Simpson also received parole. Now, he's a polarizing figure. Whether or not you believe he deserved to, you know, whether he did it or he didn't do it, he did do a crime that he went to jail for. You know, I'm gonna have to mute Jordan there. He did go to jail for a crime that he was convicted of, that he did commit. So what you get with a guy like that is he's mentally unhealthy, at least in that moment he was. This fucking puto doesn't stop calling me, and I told him to fucking stop calling me. Hold on. So just so I could close off, that dude was mentally destructive outwardly. When people have mental disorders that are outwardly destructive, we put them in cages and we strip their freedom and say, you are a danger to the rest of us, so we have to put you away. And it seems to make sense. What happens when it's inwardly destructive? They're all mental disorders just the same. I think there's a way at some point in time, I hope we'll look back and we won't have outwardly or inwardly destructive. So with that, I'm fucking out. You guys that want to keep hanging on to the Patreon, I'm going to end this broadcast. I'll come back. I'm going to get Jordan set up. And if you're not subscribed, the link is down here. Or, well, that's not the link, but this is the site, patreon.com/heyrob. Go ahead and sign up, and you could become a Skype caller, and you can join in. But we're gonna head over there here. Just give me about 5-10 minutes, and we'll pick it back up over there, because I want to keep going on this one, and I know that you guys over there be a lot more you know, engaging and stuff, and you could take part in that chat, and we'll pay more attention to that one. So we'll see you guys there. It's been interesting. I hope I articulated what I'm trying to say. You know, bottom line is, I just think we can fucking cure this shit, and I just hope at one point we can, and I know that levels of it are curable. I've fixed myself through the power of fucking therapy, friends, family, studying, fixing my body, having a therapist sit me down and help me understand things of why my mind is working a certain way, analyzing why I think a certain way, and having a faith in Christ to lead me and guide me, to give me my end goal. So, Patreon guys, we'll see you in a few minutes. The rest of you, hope you enjoyed.